friends, Uncle Marv here with another episode of the Unhealthy Podcast, the show where we try to do all the things that we can to live healthy and be happy. And a lot of times that starts with just simply getting rid of, eliminating, or reducing all the unhealthy things that we are doing in our lives, whether it is our health, our weight, our diet, our mind, all of those things that are unhealthy. Hey, let's fix them. That's what the show is here for. I'm going to be sharing my story throughout this show, but then I will also be bringing on friends and guests to talk about their stories and their journeys. And that's what we're doing today. We are actually revisiting Sherry Mills, who came back on the show. And on the last show that she was on, we talked about functional nutrition, where she is a coach. And today we're going to hear more about her actual story and how she got there. So, Sherry, welcome back.
Thank you, Marvin. Enjoy being here.
Yeah. I had asked you on the previous show if you had ever thought when we first met, and we did go back and look. So, unofficially, it's around January 2012 that we met as part of our tech days. It's hard to see down the road where people end up.
This is so true.
So we did talk about before I get going, let me make sure that I bring up your website again. Wellness Redefined, Your Wellness Redefined.com, where people can go and find out about nutrition, health, and wellness. Let's talk about how you got here, though, because everybody's got a story to tell. Everybody's got a path of where they went. So when I first met you, I don't think you were doing any of this stuff back then.
Years ago. So 27 plus years of chronic pain. And I had fibromyalgia. I had arthritis. I had IBS all my life. I wasn't sleeping. I had terrible sleep patterns, lethargic during the day. I had restless legs so bad I had to replace my sheets every 3 months. It was crazy. It was like I was jogging every night, which contributed to not being able to sleep, correct? And I ate on the run. Oh, I had visual migraines too for 12 years, which really got to a point where it was hard for me to actually work because I'd be on the computer anywhere from 2 hours to 6 hours, and then I was shut down sometimes for a couple days. And it was, my life was very badly affected by it. And of course I went to all the specialists and I went to my doctors, and all they did was had brain and scans and MRIs and all this stuff. And, they want to do surgery and injections. And I tried every modality out there, and I couldn't find any release or anything to fix the problem. It was a continual battle. And my days back in the tech world, in technology sales, were crazy. I was running 12 to 16-hour days. I was up in the morning at a networking event. I had a lunch appointment. I had a networking event after work. Then I went back to the office to work some more. Weekends were my only time to regroup, but I didn't take time to regroup me. It was getting all the stuff done around the house and whatnot that you couldn't do during the week, right? So my life was constantly on the go. And not one of these specialists, not one of these doctors sat me down and said, we need to take a different approach. We need to find out, there's got to be a way to reframe your life so that this goes away. And that's not what doctors are in business for. So instead of taking a look at your lifestyle, your mindset, and your nutrition, that's something they just don't do. And I have some friends that are physicians, and they're like, insurance tells me I have to see 25 to 35 people a day. So I don't have time to counsel my clients my patients on lifestyle and nutrition and how to be healthier, right? So I don't think it's just the doctors, that weren't educated on nutrition. Anyway, I think all of them had about an hour on nutrition at some point in medical education. But so I left tech world and for a little bit and started a business. And I'll tell you, in 2019, I came home from work. I reached down to pick up my dog, Tessa, who was all of 9 pounds, and I couldn't get up. I dropped the dog, and I couldn't move. And the inflammation in my body was so bad, it was affecting all my discs in my back, and I ended up being partially paralyzed for 4 months. And all the doctors want to do was throw drugs at it and put me in physical therapy and do surgery. And at the time, I didn't have an insurance plan that I trusted the doctors in it they were going to work on my neck and my back, right? So I wanted to change that. And that was an eye-opening time. I mean, I couldn't take care of myself. I lived in a zero gravity chair. I couldn't sit up. I couldn't lean forward. The pain was so bad. It was just misery. And had somebody taken the time to really explain these things to me prior to that wouldn't have happened. And the unfortunate thing in our society is it sometimes gets to be too late for people before they learn how to start healing their bodies and start taking care of themselves and why it's important.
You made an interesting point a while back where the doctors are being told that they have to see X number of people, which goes completely against what we believe our medical and healthcare system to be. So part of me is I'm trying to do the math here, and you had talked about 27 years having stuff just basically affect you. And up until 2019, or whenever you got right after that, it seems as though everything was just to kind of cover up, mask. Let's just check this box off. You feel better for a little bit? Okay, good. We're on to the next thing. Is that kind of what it felt like? Yeah.
And in retrospect and looking back at it, what we have is a disease management system. We do not have a healthcare system. We don't have enough health, or definitely don't have enough care in it. And it's driven by the pharmaceutical companies and the insurance companies. So life as a doctor is not what they signed up for, I'm sure, when they first went to school.
Right.
But to say that's sustainable, they have to do what they're told.
Right.
And I'm sure it's frustrating for many. And like I said, most doctors weren't trained in a functional approach where there's other tests out there that can drive down to your genetics, or that can drive down to different levels in your body to show what's going on. They don't have the time nor the knowledge, because they were never trained in that. They don't have the time or the knowledge in nutrition. And they definitely don't have the time to sit and talk to you about how to shift your mind and how important self-care is. And when that moment hit me, I worked with a naturopath, a functional practitioner, and I reframed how I look at food. I reframed how I care for myself. And now I take time for me, and I feel the difference throughout the day if I don't. We're all going to step outside of our little wellness journey when we get on it, because we want to, I remember it was about, 3 months in on my new path, and I was craving certain food. And I know just around the corner, they make the best fish and chips out there. And I went and had them. It was delicious. But my body hated me for a week, because once you start doing the right things, you don't miss those old things. And when you go back to those old things, your body tells you that's a no-no. So when I cut out fried foods, I cut out so much bread and cheese, I cut out fried foods, I added more fruits and vegetables. I added more lean meats, whole grains. And what my favorite part of the day is what I call my antioxidant shake. It's what drives my wellness, I think, and gives me the energy for all day. And it's full of berries. And it gives me an abundance of energy throughout the day. And when I don't have it, I miss it, you know? So everybody that I work with, especially, what happened when I changed my life, I went on amazing supplements, changed my mindset to food, changed how I cooked my food, added more fruits and vegetables, added different times, didn't eat certain times that I was eating before. I fit it into my schedule instead of letting my schedule run my life. Because in reality, that's what was happening. My schedule was running my life,
right,
and I wasn't taking care of me. It was running right on over me. So that's why I work with busy professionals. I know how to fit that in your schedule now.
Now,
but
let's just take a moment real quick, because I think we skipped over, and maybe you did it on purpose, but I'll go back and ask. So you're partially paralyzed for 4 months, and obviously in pain, probably frustrated, probably angry at some people.
Yeah.
What was it that actually triggered the change for you to look elsewhere?
It's really funny. I actually put my hand on this little biophotonic scanner that reads your antioxidants in your dermal layer. So our skin is our largest organ. And no matter what we're doing, eating, supplementing, and everything, it takes 60 days of that new life to go to your dermal layer. So it reads your carotenoids to read your antioxidant levels and your oxidative stress. And if your antioxidants aren't strong in your body, you're not supporting your immune system. And what happens is you get an immune disease. Like I had arthritis. There's a lot of things that come from that. And a lot of them can't be reversed because you've waited too long to do anything about it. But once I don't know if it was my mental, I think it was mentally. I had to be mentally. Putting my hand on a 30-second test. It flipped a switch in me. And inside 3 months, I got my cholesterol, which I had been on statins since my 20s. I got my cholesterol from 310 to 160. My score on this machine, it starts at 10,000, goes to 100,000, 100,000 being you're super, super healthy, right? I think Dr. Oz is like 75. And because he's had it on his show a couple times. But I started out at 21, which everybody thought was pretty amazing that I got that good of a score, but I wasn't that bad of an eater. It was the times I was eating and the certain foods I was picking for those times. But then within 6 months, my vision had completely cleared. All my pain and inflammation was gone. About month 4.5, I started shedding weight. I wasn't on a diet now, mind you. I am not thinking I'm going to lose weight. I thought that extra 20 pounds I was stuck with since I was 40 years old, right? 20 years, 40 pounds, couldn't get rid of it. And all of a sudden it just started falling off of me. Because once you start healing your internal body and giving it all the good stuff that you need, good supplements, good food, start doing some movement like yoga, walking, riding a bike. These are things that I didn't take time for myself. Yoga, I love it. Just stretching, meditation. There's so many things that you can add into your day that really brings it all together. But on this particular journey, I lost 40 pounds in like 6 weeks. It just fell off me, and I wasn't trying to lose weight, but it's because of my body was healing. And once that happens, the puffiness and that inflammation all starts flushing out. All those bad antibodies that are causing us all this pain and illness starts flowing out of you. And it's just like you're reborn. And the last thing you want to do is go back to how you were before.
Right. Now, this scanner, Is it something that you just happen to stumble across? Is this something where we can be out and about and see a scanner out and decide, hey, let me put my hand on it? Or was it something that you were in a medical office and they said, why don't you try this?
There are doctors and chiropractors and different people that have these things. I work with a holistic pharmacist here in Pompano Beach, and he happened to have it when I stopped by one day.
Okay.
And that's how I was introduced to it. So I started taking the supplements that are backed by this NIH invented machine that in the day when it was commissioned by the NIH, it was for glaucoma, because we're getting such an abundance of cases of macular degeneration that, and it's, again, stems from our dietary changes we've done over the last 50 years. But this thing used to be the size of a small missile, and you used to have to actually fly to Utah at the University of Utah, put your hand on it in this room because I had to stay temperature controlled. So when Pharmanex acquired the patent rights, they're working on version 4 now. Now it's the size of a little football, so it's portable. So it's easy to take it other places and let people have a try. I carry one. I know Dr. Mack does. And you can go in and get scanned and get your read. And it's a nice way I look at it as like a lie detector test for your health. Because you can come to me and say, Sherry, I eat right, I exercise, I take great supplements, and fail. So there's either a medical problem that's not being addressed, that's hidden from you, or something you're doing is not working, and we got to figure out what that is to drive that score back up so you have that immune support in your body. Because once we support our immune system, everything falls into place. And, my vision cleared up. I had lost, during the pandemic, thank God it was a pandemic, I had gone bald, and I was in wound care all the time because my skin was so thin. My cholesterol, right? I told you about all the other. That all went away in 6 months. Mm. It's just amazing.
Yeah.
And it takes 6 months to learn a new lifestyle too, so that it's sustainable.
Right. Now, to go back and clear up a couple of pieces of the story. Mm-hmm. So when you bent over and had the issue where you couldn't get up, mm-hmm. you said you had started a business. What happened to the business while you were in bed, partially paralyzed?
Well, that's another story for another day. Okay. I had a partner that wasn't right, and I ended up shutting down that business. So,
all right.
And that's when I was already in the wellness space. I just had the wrong partner. So I just took a different outlet. Instead of carrying products and touting products, I wanted to actually make change in people's lives. Because when I saw what had happened for me, I knew that if at 60 years old, I can flip the switch on my health, there's a purpose there for me to help others do the same thing.
Okay, so you were already on your path, just mm-hmm. the wrong path, it sounds.
Mm-hmm.
And the other point I wanted to ask about clearing up is, how was your dog during that time?
She was very lonely because Mama couldn't hold her.
All right,
yeah, she was my baby, but
all right, so you were on the path to wellness already, had this happen, and I'm assuming that part of that felt like a setback. Like I'm trying to be healthy. Why in the world would this happen to me?
Right, and the products I was making at my lab at the time helped me with a few things, but I don't know that my mind was wrapped around how to really be healthy because, again, no one had really talked to me about that. And so when the realization hit me, that's when I decided to take it as my passion and my purpose of life. And that's when I went back to school. So I went back to functional medicine school to get certified in functional nutrition. So I could really share that with the world and make change. Because I thought I was doing everything I could. And I still felt stuck like Chuck in those days. I was trying acupuncture, acupressure. I was trying, everything out there, every modality, chiropractor, everything, every modality and every specialist. And not one thing took the pain away. It would, massage or whatever. It might make you feel better for a little bit, but it's not going to take it away permanently. So you have to get to the root cause of what's happening, and that's your body is fighting you. Give up the fight and start taking care of it.
Yeah,
and that's up to you to do.
But as you mentioned, a lot of us have those lives where we can't because of what we believe is the life we're supposed to have to be successful, the tech life, as I call it, where, we techs work hours and hours and hours and, taking care of our customers and staying up late to research things or play with a computer and learn something new. Other industries are just like that. We are too busy going, and we don't have time to take care of things.
But you do. It's how you reframe your mind. So when I ask my clients, I need 10 minutes in the morning and 10 minutes at night. We're going to start with that. You can fit in 10 minutes.
Okay.
There's something that you're not doing anyway for yourself, or you're watching TV, or you're reading the paper, or you're watching the news, or you're not doing anything productive that you can take 10 minutes, right when you get up and right before you go to bed.
Right.
To do some mindset shifts. You got to go grocery shopping anyway. If you have a grocery list with what you need for the menu you plan to have, you'll get in and out of that grocery store. You won't be spending an hour in the grocery store and coming out with a cart full of stuff that you didn't intend to buy and start with. Right? So these are all things that you learn to make your life easy and be able to fit it in. If you're on the go, like, let's say you're going from one client to another client and, you don't have time to pull into a restaurant and sit down for an hour to eat. If you've done your meal prep on the weekend or you had a free evening on the week, right? You could have in a cooler in your car a beautiful lunch. You can pull off under a tree and relax and enjoy your lunch for a half hour. Take a breather. Then go to your next appointment. That also sets your mind so you're not running to the next person, jacked up because you've been on the run all day. So there's different things like that and mechanisms that we've talked about and we've worked with to try to make it easy, and then I make it fun too. You've got to make your changes also enjoyable. This doesn't have to be a hard journey. It doesn't have to be overwhelming. For instance, somebody gets a new diagnosis of diabetes. They freak out. They get scared. They don't know what to do. Now, some say, well, I can take this medication and not make any changes, which is really not what it's meant to do. Or there's others that say, this scared me into paying attention to my body now. How can I reverse this? How can I not have to deal with this, right? And so everybody should recognize that you own your body, you own your mind. And if you don't take care of it, it's not going to take care of you. And when I came to that realization to stop and breathe and start listening to my body and taking time for myself, it didn't take away anything that I had to do. It didn't kill my time where was needed to be somewhere else. I fit it in to bits and pieces of my day that I already had there. I just wasn't paying attention to.
So
does that make sense?
It does make sense. And I wanted to go back and now ask you another point of realization. So you put your hand on the scanner. You said that your mind flipped and that you had these markers at 3 months, 4.5 months, and 6 months. When were you 100% committed and convinced this was the path for you?
I mean, when I was going on my journey, I think my 100% marker was at my 3-month mark.
Okay.
Where I was all in. right? And I've found that with some of my clients, trying to get them off certain things or make changes and things. Sometimes I'm pulling teeth for 3 months to get them to do it, but there's others that jump in and do it right away. But where you cheat and you do a little of this, and I'm not saying you can't ever cheat in your diet. That's silly. We don't want to stop your enjoyment of life. But when I saw my cholesterol drop and my hair grow back and my pain not as strong, I was like, there's something to this. And I quieted my mind during that time, not as much as I would have liked to. That's when I went all in, and it just changed my whole, I don't want to say existence, but my whole perspective of how to move forward in my life, and with intention and on a clean path, on a self-care path. And it made a difference in my moods. It made a difference in my stress levels, which stress can affect your weight too. When we get overstressed, we just don't even think about it. We go grabbing that candy bar or those chips, or, stress is a really bad motivator for everything in our life. So learning how to calm myself, body and soul, right? Mind, body, and soul made the difference. And when I saw the final results after 6 months, I said, that's it. I'm going back to school. This is my mission, to take care of everybody else and tell them and show them that there is a life better than what you're pulling yourself through right now.
So of all the things that you listed that were unhealthy in your life, and I know you didn't mention everything, but how many of those are either completely gone, reduced, under management? How would you consider, I guess, on a scale of 1 to 10, your health now compared to when you started your path?
On a scale of 1 to 10, I would say I'm an 8, where I was probably a 3.5.
Okay.
I've never gone back on statins. My cholesterol level's been in range, perfect. I do take a supplement for it, because I'd rather have natural stuff in my body than synthesized garbage that can affect my other organs. I no longer take anything for pain. I don't have, so my arthritis and my fibromyalgia, I don't know is there. Now, that's not to say when the weather changes, I don't get a twinge somewhere. But because I listen to my body, I recognize it. And it's always when, like recently, our weather here in Florida has been kind of schizophrenic with it's hot and sunny one day and it's cold and wet the next day.
Yep.
So when it drops temperature and gets wet, I'll feel a knuckle or something, but it's not like it was. It's not that shooting pain, because I had learned to live with such pain that I had a very high tolerance to it. So what somebody else feels is painful, we all feel different, right? So right. I was so used to living with that it would take a really major sharp pain or something for me to really go, that's how I could keep pushing through with that smile to get through my day. I was miserable behind it, but nobody else knew it. Except all of a sudden I was always on doctor's appointments all the time. But, so I would say I don't see my cholesterol ever going up again. I'm going to have twinges here and there. It's never going to go totally away. I only have 3 decent vertebrae anyway right now in my back. I was a 40-year smoker before I quit this, when I went on this path. So I have a little bit of, I always had asthma and allergies, so it's a little bit worse, and there's not a lot I can do in that, just maintain that. But as far as pills, I haven't gone back on any of them. I haven't needed them. I don't even take an aspirin. If I get a headache or I feel something coming on, I usually just close my eyes and do some breathing, and that usually quiets everything.
I know that a lot of this is based on diet, and you've talked about some supplements. Let me ask the question that I think other people would ask are any of these supplements the ones that you'd find at CVS, Walgreens? No.
Most of the supplements you're going to buy in a box store of any kind, even a vitamin store, typically has a bioavailability rate of 6 to maybe 19% for the higher end ones. And what I mean by that is bioavailability is high absorption rate into our body. So, for instance, during the pandemic, I knew I ran out of D. And during the pandemic, we needed 10,000 IUs of D in our body, which is okay normally to do for like a week if you get sick. And 2,000 is what you typically should have a day. Well, so I run to CVS or Walgreens or one of those. And because it was going to be like 5 days before my shipment could come in. And I don't know what brand it was. It was one of these famous brands that you see in all this stuff, right? You know, Nature's Bounty, Sundown, something. And it was $48 for 30 tiny 500 IUs that I knew, even though my gut is now healthy and can absorb my nutrients, because if your gut's not healthy, you're not going to absorb anything, so you're wasting your money anyway. I'm like, I'd have to spend $200 to get 2,000 IUs a day of something that I know my body's not even going to absorb. So when I have the conversation with people about their medications and their supplements and their lifestyle and where they are, we take a look at what they're taking, and we take a look at what could be replacing it with something that's going to actually, they're going to see and feel inside 60 days. Because everybody, even since the pandemic, if you have that conversation with them about how much do you spend on your supplements, they don't know. Because they're getting them when they go to Publix, they're getting them when they go to Costco, they're getting them when they go to CVS, they're getting them at the vitamin store. They're not buying their monthly supply at one time, right? So they have no idea.
Right.
Until you make them bring everything out and take a look at what they're taking. So it's a conversation that is warranted because we can't absorb all our nutrients from our food that our body needs. So you really do need to find something that works for you. And that's going to actually add value.
All right. So I'll admit, there's some supplements that I get through the mail, and there's some that I get at those stores. And I'm not big enough that anybody's going to come after me, but Nature Made is one of those brands where it's supposedly better than the others. So when you talk about IUs, I mean, they've got it written on the units. I mean, but they're listed on the bottle, and I was just looking at the IU of one of the ones that I get, and it says that it's 5,000 IU.
And what is that supplement?
That's the D3.
Okay. Is it a gel cap?
Extra strength soft gel.
Okay. So it's not a powder or a tablet.
No.
So you're going to get a little bit more from a gel cap than you are from a tablet.
Mm-hmm.
But so they're each 5,000 IUs a day, a pill?
Well, let me look at this one because this is, yes, one soft gel daily, 5,000 IU.
That's a fairly strong one for, is that an over-the-counter or are you getting that through the mail?
That one I'm actually getting through Amazon. It says extra strength.
Okay. Okay. So Amazon sells everything, so that doesn't tell me much of it. But there's only a handful of supplement companies across the world that are the best, highest bioavailability. And unfortunately, one of them that's well known was bought by Nestle a couple of years ago. So we know that's where they're going to be heading. But so just to have, when you do your labs, since you've been on this specific supplement, okay, have your labs changed?
Okay, well, let's not get crazy now. I haven't had a lab done in years. I mean,
oh, well, now, Marvin, we need to talk.
yeah, I have not gone for, I can't remember the last physical I had. I've not had, I've only had, let's see, even when I went to the ER for my head thing a couple of weeks, I had no labs. I don't think they took blood. I don't think they did anything.
They didn't take blood, urine, anything?
No.
And I even offer testing that gets to a genetic level. It does your minerals and vitamins levels in your bodies, so you know where your deficiencies lie.
Okay.
It does toxicity testing too. It's part of that one, where if you have mold toxicity or metal toxicity, a lot of us are carrying around that, and it's affecting our health, and it's not something your doctor's going to think about. I've actually spoken over the last few years with doctors that actually had to quit their practice because they had a metal toxicity and didn't know what it was, and no one could figure it out. And they literally had to quit working and be taken care of. They got so sick until a naturopath came and said, let's try this test, and found out that they had a metal toxicity. And it was from, get this, most of us, especially at our age, have silver fillings in our mouth. And he had them all taken out and put in the porcelain ones. Well, that was metal in your mouth. And when they start taking all that out, you can get particles that get up underneath your skin, and now you're stuck with them. That's what it was from.
Wow. I guess I won't be doing that.
Just don't do that. We made it this far with silver fillings. We can live.
I don't have a filling.
Yeah, so well, there you go. Good. And that's just how a functional practitioner or naturopath takes a look at you and your situation differently. You know, if nobody's been able to figure out what's wrong with you, what's going to hurt to try some different tests and see what happens, what comes up.
So I'm going to make a note here, and you'll be the witness that I'm going to have to go get some tests done. Some labs, as you say. And we'll have to figure out a time to come back and see where I'm at.
Absolutely.
So I'm not going to put a timetable on it. I'm not going to box myself into a tiny,
hold me to it.
a tiny tight corner, because I've got to go look and see all the stuff I've done over the last, let's say 6 months. Let me look at that, because we have done some things, and I've ordered some stuff. So I need to go, as you say, collect all the bottles, grab all the powders and the keto and all that stuff. Don't laugh at me.
Take a look at it all. And I mean, there are things that sometimes don't play well with each other. And I think we talked about it our last time together. So it's something just to have another set of eyes on it, to see what could be where nobody else has been able to pinpoint that.
Right.
And I think our world since the pandemic is opening up a little bit to people saying, you know, there might be something to this. There might be something out there past my doctor that can help me, or that can guide me so I don't feel this pain anymore. I don't have diabetes anymore. I don't have, you know, whatever it may be. I mean, or I'm overweight, or which I can help you lose weight, but losing weight comes naturally once you start healing your body. So it's something to think about. And I think more and more people are opening up to taking their healthcare in a different direction to see what can be done. And I think that's why we're hearing so much more about holistic treatments, or people are using that word. But in a sense, it's just pinpointing what the actual root cause of whatever's going on with you is, and working it from the inside out to heal your body. And it can be a really gratifying journey.
All right.
Let me tell you.
So I'm hesitant to ask this question because obviously I didn't prep you for it. I didn't say this was going to come up, which is why some people have commented on my podcast that, I'm not as structured as I should be. But you mentioned the fact that people are opening up and are more willing to listen. Because, listen, I'll say it, when you hear the term holistic or alternative, it was always taken with a slight slap in the face, I guess is the short way to say it, where, if you're going against traditional medicine, you're a wacko. But it sounds as though this really, traditional medicine. Listen, some of this stuff can be traced back to, years before our medical system came about with surgeries and all the technology and stuff. A lot of this stems back to what was being done naturally. So if you think that people are more open to it I don't think it was the pandemic per se that did it. Do you have any other idea of what might be happening now that people are starting to really accept some of these things?
I think the pandemic opened some eyes because they're scared to get sick.
Okay.
So they're supplementing more. They're trying to take better care of themselves. But there is, and I have noticed, whether it be the news or articles or things that pop up that we see throughout the day in social media or just Google or whatever, more and more people are opening up to the option of taking a look within, taking a look at a different route to see if that works. Like you said, our great-grandfathers and beyond didn't have modern medicine. And even when we were kids, you didn't have heart disease and diabetes and excessive overweight. You didn't have a lot of these disease states. Macular degeneration was hardly a thing. You didn't hear about them that much. It wasn't so widespread.
Right.
And that's because over the years, we have changed how we live and eat. That's all that's changed. There are more fast food restaurants. I remember when McDonald's and Burger King were the only two fast food restaurants. And Kentucky Fried Chicken, that was it. Right? Now there's like 3 on every corner. But that's what's happened. We've made our life a life of convenience, and convenience doesn't pay. It's convenience.
So I've got a working title for a podcast that I want to talk about with somebody at some point, where fast food isn't healthy, no matter what changes they make. The fact that we're telling McDonald's and Wendy's and Burger King, hey, put some healthy things on your diet, on your menu. And people are like going in thinking, oh, I'll get a Caesar salad from Wendy's. And I've learned myself that it's twice as bad as any salad you'll get anywhere else. So, yeah.
Well, and a lot of it is the dressings that they use, and there's a way to make your own dressings. You can really take your favorite spices and create a dressing for yourself that you're going to love on just about anything. So these are all things that you learn when you go through a program with me, because I want to see you figure it out. Most of my clients go on to, they meal prep for the whole week. And most of my clients, to be perfectly honest with you, are men. And they meal prep now, and they still send me pictures of what they eat, because they're like, look, I'm still doing good, and
wow.
It becomes a way of life. And, once from barely being able to walk, now it wants to learn to be a yoga instructor. Somebody else that, was just overwhelmed with supplements and medication now has a streamlined version of what that looks like and feels better. Everybody, like I said, everybody's journey is different.
Right.
Everybody's issues are different.
All right. So you took us down your path. Thank you for that. Thank you for sharing. And especially answering the questions that I asked about, when was the 100% mark of buy-in, because I think that's key. Because we always...
I mean, I have people that are buying in totally inside 45 days because they're already starting to feel different, which makes them want to do better. Because once you start feeling different and you're finding out that the little things I ask you to do aren't that hard, and you're actually mentally feeling better too, it's easier. And, I try to make it fun. I want my people to go to find a farmer's market, make a day of it, take the family, take your wife, take your husband, take your girlfriend, whatever, make a day of it, go have fun. After a couple of months, I want you to go out to a nice dinner, and I want to see what you eat. I want to know how hard was that to find that delicious, enjoyable meal that was still healthy, and I also want to know your challenges when you're traveling. There's ways to overcome that. We talk about all of this. I'm not just the voice in your head. We actually work through these strategies together.
All right. We're gonna chat some more because, like I said, I've marked down. We're gonna do some labs and see where I'm at, and we'll come back and discuss supplements. I just made a note here about farmers markets. So at some point in the future, don't know when that is, I'll ask you to come back and we'll chat some more.
Okay, I would love that.
All right. So once again, folks, Sherry Mills, yourwellnessredefined.com, and everything about nutrition, weight loss. There's a healthy cookbook, and you also have a Facebook group, right?
Yes, I just started one.
You just started it.
And it's Life Force 360 is the name of my program, so that's the name of my Facebook group.
All right, so you can check that out there. And I'm sorry, I'm scrolling as I'm looking here on your site, checking out the blogs and stuff. You've got a very extensive set of blogs that are actually broken out into categories. So if you just want to go look up something on immune busters or boosters, collagen and gut health, we talked about that, mindful eating, nice set of blogs and all that. So Sherry, it was good to catch up.
Absolutely. Enjoyed it.
All right. We will definitely be in touch. We'll have to, and folks, Sherry and I are actually close by. We are probably somewhere between 15 and 25 minutes from each other right now. And again, we met on our tech life journeys, and
sure did.
The fast and busy life that I am still on. So I'll have to be one of those men.
We're all still busy, Marvin. It's how we manage that busy.
Yeah. All right. Well, Sherry, I'll have you back on soon. Thank you very much for your time. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us on the show. That is going to do it for this episode. And again, we'll have the links in the show notes on where you can go and find out more about functional nutrition and listen, how to eat a healthy, balanced, I want to say diet, but that's not the
I know.
It's one of those things. Just eat healthy and get rid of some of these issues that we're having, but do it in a mindful and holistic way. So I'm going to go on that journey. So you'll get to hear about that. And, the power of clean eating. That'll be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll talk about that. We'll share that. So thank you very much. Head over to unhealthypodcast.com and check out some other episodes. Like us on your favorite podcatcher app and check out upcoming episodes when we have them. I'll have Sherry back on and we'll talk more about my journey because that's what we're going to be doing. That's it. Talk to you later. So long. See you soon. And until next time, holla.